Hello and a very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching COVID-19 India Fights Back. I'm Frank Rausen Pereira. Scientists and drug makers all over the world are racing against time to develop a safe, effective vaccine against COVID-19, the disease caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus. However, experts have raised concerns about making enough doses for everyone if and when a vaccine arrives. As countries compete to grab doses of vaccines, the world is turning to India for vaccine supplies. A new global study suggested that India has an edge in the global vaccine race. India has leveraged its manufacturing capacity to pre-order 600 million doses of potential COVID-19 vaccines and negotiating for another billion doses, says a new global analysis of advanced market commitments for vaccine candidates against the coronavirus. The total number of these vaccine doses, if they are approved to be utilized in the course of time, should be enough to vaccinate half of the country's over 1.3 billion population, given the fact that most of the vaccine candidates against the coronavirus require 2 doses. The analysis of advanced market commitments for experimental COVID-19 vaccine by US-based Duke Global Health Innovation Center noted that international initiatives such as COVAX and other alliances are critical to ensuring equitable allocation of vaccines for low and middle income countries. In this edition of COVID-19 India Fights Back, we will analyze India's potential for manufacturing vaccines. Joining me on the program today are Professor Sarman Singh, Director, AIIMS Bhopal; Professor Y.K. Gupta, Head of Department of Pharmacology, AIIMS Delhi; and Dr. Rakesh Mishra, Director, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of COVID-19 India Fights Back. All right, so let me start the program with you, Dr. Rakesh Mishra. As far as, manufacturing of vaccines is concerned, where does India stand? What is India's experience in the past as well as far as vaccine manufacturing is concerned?
It is very now almost common knowledge that India is the superpower in vaccine. We are producing a very large number and supplying to most of the world. More than 50-60% of the vaccine we are supplying. So the production might not be so much of an issue. The issue will be the new kind of vaccine that are coming, like we have not made RNA-based vaccine before. So maybe new kind of setup will be needed for that, which should be done. And otherwise, more traditional like the Oxford vaccine or inactivated virus vaccine like our biotech is making, those I think there will be no production issues. There will be many other issues, even if vaccine is there, to take it to the places and the cold chain and the syringes and the healthcare workers. And most important thing is, never in the history anybody has tried this kind of vaccination of adult people, adult population. We try only children. So it's a completely different ball game, and the logistics are of mind-boggling. It's challenge, but I think India will rise to challenge. We have done well so far. So in terms of production, we might be better placed than many other countries. Of course, there will be other issues that who has paid for it, so who will be the first first country to get, and all those things will be sorted out. But I think those are the things that will be worked out, and there will be more and more. I understand by May, June, there will be more production facilities that are being set up in Hyderabad, in other places. So that might not be so much of an issue.
Right. Okay. Professor Gupta, let me come across to you now. As far as vaccines are concerned, we'll talk about the vaccine candidates for SARS-CoV-2 in just a bit. But before that, what is it that works for India? Why have we been so successful as far as vaccine development and manufacturing in the country is concerned?
I would say, as Dr. Mishra has said, that India has been the hub of vaccine manufacturing, and we have been supplying vaccine. Almost 40% of the vaccine India supplies, particularly you see the polio vaccine and other hepatitis vaccine. And so vaccine technology is very rich in India. And the result is that today 7 Indian companies have been asked to have been given license to manufacture vaccine, and that is Serum Institute India, Pune, and the Cadila Healthcare, Bharat Biotech, and the Biological Evans, Reliance Life Sciences. Aurobindo has been granted that. Genova Pharmaceuticals has also been applied and has been given license. And of these, 3, 4 are in a very advanced stage. Bharat Biotech is in advanced stage. Just maybe from the next month, it will go to the phase 3. And Serum Institute has already into phase 3. And we expect that at least by January or maybe February, if it is not later, we will have our indigenous production of vaccine for Indian population. Quantity would be, to begin with, would be just sufficient, but maybe soon, within 6 months to 9 months, or maybe at the most 1 year, we will not be meeting our own requirement, but we will be able to meet the requirement of the neighboring country. And also, as our honorable Prime Minister has given assurance, as a as a as a courtesy or
Hmm.
as a helping hand, we will also be making this available to our friendly countries.
Right. Yes, Professor Gupta, go ahead. You were making a point.
So, what I am trying to say is that India, of even if these 3 vaccine manufacturers start manufacturing vaccine by end of the first quarter of 2021, maybe even earlier, we will be meeting our requirement of urgent requirement, which is the people at risk requirement. And soon, within 6 months to 9 months, we will be able to meet the requirement which is for our neighboring country or for other part of the world. The important issue with the vaccine is not only vaccine production. It's not only that you have to consider that these vaccine, as Dr. Mishra has said, these vaccines are made by attenuated virus. These vaccine has been manufactured by RNA technology. So there are different type of vaccines which are manufactured, and therefore the question is being raised are as follows: can there be interchangeability of the vaccine? Perhaps we are not talking of that. Number two, the person who is going to give this vaccine need to be trained, adequately trained. We are working towards that. The vaccine may cause side effects, and therefore what is called as an AEFI, adverse event after immunization, that system is being aggressively strengthened, because that is what is important thing is. And important thing is maintenance of cold chain, a big challenge, but the India has really geared up for that. And also the other infrastructures which will be needing, like syringes, needle, and then disposable of that, the environmental issues, and so on and so forth. So I would say Corona has given a silver line to us. We have risen to the occasion, manufactured a huge manufacturing of vaccine indigenously. Also, the management of vaccine delivery system, post-vaccine monitoring issue. So all this is being worked out very effectively in India. Wow.
Right. Okay. Points taken. Let me take the points that you're making forward and take them to Professor Singh as well. Professor Singh, how important is it to have an indigenous vaccine because of several of the issues that are associated with vaccine manufacturing and then storage and supply as well?
Mr. Pereira, this is not indigenous or imported, but technology. I think that is more important. Whatsoever technology, as both the panelists, they very rightly said, that the efficacy, protective efficacy, and the cold chain. Cold chain is making most, crucial step, because both the vaccines developed in USA, they require -20 to -70 degrees Celsius temperature, which may be a problem in India. And therefore, the Oxford University vaccine and the indigenous vaccine, which is being developed by with the ICMR and the Bharat Biotech, these both the vaccines, and of course the new vaccines which probably Indian companies they might be making, they should meet this requirement, because in any developing country, not only in India but the neighboring countries also, particularly the climate doesn't support us. So in these countries, this will be very, very crucial, that whatsoever vaccine, whether it is indigenous or we import the technology from outside, the temperature and the cold chain maintenance issue is resolved. And then second, I think is also very important because the cost is very, very crucial. So for any country, but definitely for our country, because we have huge population. So to meet the requirement, the cost and the burden on the government of India will also be very, very important. So one is the cold chain. Number two is of course the cost, and of course the efficacy, which is very, very important. Now the third point is the meeting the requirement. Meeting the requirement, I think both the panelists, they very rightly said that to begin with, India has good, the scale up capability. So we can have the Serum Institute itself can supply. If they can supply for 170 countries, why not to India itself? So they definitely they will be meeting the all the requirements. But on top of that, I must say that in the first phase, not whole population of the country will be vaccinated. There is a prioritization. So obviously the first healthcare workers and those who are at high risk, they will be vaccinated. So I think it will be in phased manner. So we can meet the requirement of the urgently required for the healthcare workers and those who are on the front. They will be vaccinated, and then maybe after 6 months or so, then the general population will be vaccinated. So I think we are geared up, and if the prime minister of any country takes personal interest, I think this will be doable.
Okay. So, Dr. Mishra, we have several vaccine candidates who have reached third phase trial, and there are several more as well to follow and who are, seen successful results thus far. As far as these front runners are concerned, or as far as these vaccine candidates are concerned, which one of them best suits India's needs, do you think?
See, the best is defined by several criteria. One is within your infrastructure, what you can manage better. So in that case, RNA-based vaccines require lower temperature, and that will be a problem. But RNA-based vaccines have, at least these data have shown very, very efficient. 90%, 95% is just amazing, amazing number. While Oxford vaccine shows 60% to 90%, so it may be they will resolve it to how their efficacy is. Having said that, we should look for the best vaccine which is suitable to most of our people. So we have ethnic divergence, and those are the few issues with these vaccine needs still to be sorted out. We know that they are safe. We know that they are very highly efficient. That is 90% of the people are protected. But we don't know if these variations, the population variation that we have, that will not be a factor in this. And most important to me, we have to be very, very careful is that will they last for more than 6 months, more than 8 months, more than 1 year? There's no answer to that question because you can't fast forward time. So we vaccinate today, person may be protected for 6 months. After that, if it again is required, like for common flu and other thing, that will be very, very difficult thing for us to do. So I think we have to take a balanced approach, do vaccination where it is required, but we have to watch how more aggressive and how whole population scale we are going to go depend upon how robust and long-lasting the protection these vaccines are going to provide. But in given situation, currently inactivated virus that is made is of course is the easier, and so is the Oxford vaccine, easier to transport, easier to administer. We know about these things, while RNA vaccines are a new thing and maybe the future, but at the moment they are a little bit of a high tech compared to these. So we have to wait and watch. And important point again is that side effect of these vaccines have to be monitored. I'm very excited that these are the things that are going to bring new kind of healthcare system in our country. We can monitor people, give them vaccine and follow them. We have Aadhaar card, we have these ways of, we don't have those infrastructure now, but this is a good time. And considering the way the government is taking it proactively, I'm hoping that many more positives will come out from this vaccination program, in addition to the protection to this virus. These are the things that are going to set up new kind of like a mission mode, like a very active healthcare system, which
Right.
lot of attention. So there are many positives to look forward to in this. So I
Sure.
find it very.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So, Professor Gupta, let's also talk about another aspect where, we may need more than one dose of the vaccines that are eventually approved, that are eventually, good to go. So, do you see that to be an issue as well? Because, for the first vaccination, people may come forward, but then to follow up with them, to get them the second dose, and for all you know, this could also be a yearly vaccine, just like the flu or influenza vaccine. So these are some things to keep in mind as well.
You are perfectly right. And it was that some vaccines were tested earlier as a one shot. And then what was observed that instead of giving one shot versus two shot at a gap of 2 weeks to 4 weeks, it was found that if you give two shots at 1 week and then another shot after 4 weeks, the two shots, the antibody titer was better and for longer. And therefore, one single shot is unlikely to be. It will be either two doses or it may be three doses. And that is there is a large body of convergence in the evidence is coming. That is one. The dose is also going to be slightly variable. Maybe it may be 0.1 ml to 0.5 ml in different concept. And that is why interchangeability, I said, is unlikely to be there. That means if a person is getting one type of vaccine, he has to be given the second vaccine of the same. Not that you change it till the interchangeability studies are done. That is one issue. The second issue, as Dr. Mishra has very rightly said, that we do not have, though we have some idea by now that the protection or the antibody titer in sufficient quantity will remain more than 6 months. But whether it will be for 1 year, maybe for 1.5 years or 2 years, we do not know. Even for 1 year is only an artificial intelligence or is an extended calculation. So that also the protection, see, our DCGI or CDSCO has done the initial cutoff that 50% is a protection, which is acceptable. Now, there are claims that some vaccines are 70%, 74%, and 90%, 94%, 99%. I think we should not get bogged down with these percentage. This will be creating confusion in the mind of the public. This will be more of an academic and scientific value. But as far as the public is concerned, as long as it is more than 50% or 70% or reasonably, it is good enough. And that is what important thing is. And the training, infrastructure, capacity building of administering this, I think that is going to be a big challenge, and India is gearing for that very effectively.
Right. Okay, points taken. All right, then taking the discussion forward, Professor Singh, let me come across to you. So since we are here, then what do you believe is the best way forward?
Even though the multiple vaccines are being tried and they are in pipeline and very soon we expect, but I would still say that nothing like that, prevention, because it has no side effect, it has economically the best way, and it is 100% sure. There is no doubt about that. And there are 15 at least the good behaviors or appropriate behaviors what government has said. But at least out of these 15 behaviors, if we adopt 4 or 5, they are good enough to give you 100% efficacy. And these are what? These are, of course, the masking, means whole community has to be masked. So everybody should wear the mask, and they should be masked. When we say mask, means proper masking. So not mouth, not only nose, both mouth and nose, which usually people do, and hand hygiene and physical distancing, and avoid crowding. This is very, very important. So I think vaccine will be coming, but it will take time. By no means we can expect for general population not before July. So as I said in the earlier discussion, that the first batch of the vaccine will be given to healthcare workers and the high risk people, and then of course for general public it will take another 6 months. It is quite possible that by that time the general public can face another wave of the infection, as most of the European countries they are facing. So definitely we should be optimistic that vaccine is coming. We are almost there, but still there is a gap of 4 5 months. So I think vaccine is a good initiative. We are hopeful. We are optimistic, but till the vaccine shot is given to each and everybody, we have to be careful. The prevention is best.
Right. And Professor Gupta, close the show for us with your quick concluding remark.
I would say 2 3 things. One is prevention is the best strategy. And Dr. Sarman Singh has very nicely said that if we adopt the lifestyle changes, wearing masks, keeping social distancing, taking immune boosting diet, and that is the best thing. Number two, we are very hopeful of the vaccine, and certainly we will get vaccine, and that vaccination is to be prioritized, and that is being done. Priority has been decided, starting from the healthcare worker, high risk, then the people at risk, that means the old age and the people with comorbid condition, and then would be the normal healthy people.
Right.
Giving to healthy people is again a question mark. Should they be given or should they not be given? That depends on the situation that time. The management of giving vaccine, including the vaccine side effects, including the post-vaccination strategy, is also important.
Right.
The corona, it is likely to stay. How long? Nobody can predict. How long the vaccination will last effect? Nobody can predict as of now. But hope the scientists will win the war.
Right.
War.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. On that note, then I'll call it a wrap on this edition of COVID-19 India Fights Back. Thank you to my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. And before I leave, Rajya Sabha TV would like to make an appeal to all its viewers to remember to follow these basic and simple instructions to fight the coronavirus. Wear a mask whenever you step outside or whenever you're in the vicinity of other people so that you can stay safe. Wash your hands and face regularly, and remember to maintain physical distancing of at least 6 feet when outdoors. These small steps can go a long way in defeating the pandemic. That's it from me. See you again next time.